Hello and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS. Welcome to another session of Indian Economy Essentials. In today's discussion, let's have a look at the announcement that was done by the government, that is linkage between India's UPI and Singapore's PayNow. Now, what are the important points that you need to understand regarding this concept? Point number one. A lot of people from India will go outside, learn there, get a job, or already who have a job in India will shift to external market, foreign country, earn there and send money back to India. Now, technical term that you need to understand in this context is the term remittances. Very often you will come across this term remittance. Please understand this. Remittance simply refers to transfer of money. Money that is sent, let's say from USA to India. Now many of you will say, sir, the funds are transferred for multiple purposes. Now for what reason or in what case, I will understand that this is a remittance. Here is a very important point. Whenever you, let's say, export goods, you will bring money into India, you will bring your earnings. You will earn because you are exporting. That is not a remittance here. Remittance basically transfers to money transfers which are done, let's say, in the form of a gift or for maintenance of relatives. For example, imagine you will go to USA, get a job, and you will keep on sending money to take care of your parents or for your spouse, for your relatives, etc. These are called as remittances. Now, why this remittance is important? Indian diaspora resides in many countries across the globe. And this diaspora, that is basically people, these Indians, when they go outside, keep on sending a lot of remittances back to India. And one of the problem with respect to this sending back the remittance is the linkage as well as the cost. Now, what is the discussion related to this? Imagine you are in India. You want to send remittances to your friend or you want to send certain amount of money outside India. Do you think that is very easy? Do you think you can simply go to a bank, deposit money, right, and ask them to transfer to your friend who resides outside India and has an account outside India? This is not that easy. For promotion of these kind of transactions, there is a scheme which has been launched by Reserve Bank of India, Liberalized Remittances Scheme, LRS, Liberalized Remittances Scheme. Under the Liberalized Remittances Scheme, if an Indian wants to take out up to $2.5 lakh per annum, I repeat, if an Indian wants to take out means basically take these dollars outside India, up to $2.5 lakh per annum, then you need not have any kind of approval from Reserve Bank of India. And after $2.5 lakh, definitely yes, you need permission, you need approval. Now many will say, sir, but this is very easy then. I don't need any approval. But if you want to take out these dollars, you'll have to submit certain documents. You'll have to pay certain charges, and that is the problem here. In order to address this, very recently, there is a tie-up between India's Reserve Bank of India, RBI, that's the central banker, and Monetary Authority of Singapore, MAS. And this linkage that we are simply referring to as linkage between UPI and PayNow is basically the agreement between RBI as well as Monetary Authority of Singapore to allow for easy transfer of funds from India to Singapore and Singapore to India. Now, what is this all about? Simple. Henceforth, if you want to transfer funds from UPI, not only within India, to let's say to Singapore also, you can easily do it. You can transfer the funds very, very easily. How is that possible? Using the mobile numbers, you can transfer it. And on the other hand, from Singapore to India, from Singapore, now if you want to transfer funds to India, it can be done very, very easily because the linkage is existing. It can be done very, very easily through, right, the virtual private ID or virtual private account. For example, all of us who have an UPI will have this virtual private ID or virtual private account like this. So the funds from India to Singapore, Singapore to India now can be transferred very easily. Now why this was done? First, India receives huge amount of remittances. You'll have to remember that. For example, for the year 2022, World Bank says the amount of remittances that India will receive will be the largest in the global market. How much? More than $100 billion. And this is nothing new. This is very common in the context of India. Second, as per RBI report, for 2021, around 5.7% of the remittances that we have received has come from Singapore. Apart from Singapore, remittances also come from USA, some of the countries in the Middle East, etc. So the issue is that the funds are going from India to Singapore and Singapore to India. Now the problem as of now was that the cost was higher. The documentation was a problem. Documentation in the sense, if you want to transfer the funds under LRS, certain documents will have to be provided. Right? So in order to address this, now there is a linkage between RBI as well as MAS, or in simple terms, linkage is existing between UPI as well as PayNow. That's a very important point you'll have to remember. Now some of you will say, sir, if the linkage is existing, how much money am I allowed to transfer? Can I simply transfer any amount of money now? Absolutely no. If you want to transfer, the limit is 60,000 rupees or 1,000 Singapore dollars. That's a limit that has been decided as of now. Per day, this is the amount that you are allowed to transfer. So these are certain very important points regarding the recent announcement of the linkage between RBI, UPI, that is RBI's UPI, or between UPI and PayNow. What are the advantages? As already mentioned, one, this will make the funds transfer very easy or comparatively much more easier now. Second, the cost of the transfers is automatically going to come down. Third, under LRS, lot of investments are done by Indian investors or let's say individuals across the global market. Now, one of the concern was that the cost under the LRS was higher. Now, if I'm able to transfer the funds very easily into Singapore, the investments are expected to be promoted between India and Singapore. Trade is expected to be promoted between India and Singapore. And finally, because of this announcement of Reserve Bank of India, or let's say Government of India now, we expect the convertibility of rupee also to be promoted. So these are certain very important advantages related to this initiative. Now within India, which banks as of now are covered under this initiative, which will be allowed to transfer funds from India to Singapore and receive funds which are transferred from Singapore to India? The banks which are listed or which have been allowed as of now to send remittances from India to Singapore are ICICI Bank, Indian Bank, Indian Overseas Bank, IOB, and SBI, State Bank of India. And the banks which are allowed to receive remittances, Axis Bank, DBS Bank of India, ICICI Bank, Indian Bank, Indian Overseas Bank, and State Bank of India. So these are certain very important points. Having said so, this is not a very new concept that is there in the discussion. In the sense, it is not very recently that RBI decided to have a linkage between UPI and PayNow. This initiative was actually started in 2021. Somewhere in the month of September 2021, the talks started, and by July 2022, they basically set a deadline and said, we will be launching this project. But finally, in the month of February, this has been launched now. You please have a look at all of these points. Remember it for UPSC preliminary as well as mains examination. Now, this is the discussion related to the newspaper article or the news article between India as well as Singapore. Now, before I wind up, if you have read about Vostro, in the last couple of weeks, there has been a lot of discussion related to Vostro accounts that have been allowed by Reserve Bank of India. Now, regarding this, there is a video which we already have made. If you are yet to watch that video, please have a look at the video. Because that concept of vostro and nostro is very, very important. Can be asked in the UPSC preliminary examination as well as mains examination. Now some of you will ask, sir, how that vostro is connected to mains examination? Please have a look at the question here. What if I were to ask you, what recent reforms have been taken by the government of India to promote internationalization of rupee? One of the reforms that you will have to write is vostro account. Or else, what if the question is, what reforms have been undertaken by the government in order to reduce the impact of Russia-Ukraine war on the Indian economy? You'll have to mention vostro account concept. And in the prelims, the question could be as straightforward as, what are the features of a vostro account? Now some of you might be thinking, sir, we have seen it. So those who have not seen it, please have a look at it. And those who are thinking, sir, I've seen it, why are you explaining it again? The reason is very simple. In the discussion of vostro and nostro, I've used the term vostro means ours. Please make a correction. Vostro means yours. I'll repeat it. While discussing the concept of vostro and nostro, I've made a mistake and said that vostro is ours. It's not ours, it is yours. Vostro means yours, nostro means ours. So please make that correction if you have already watched the video. If not, please watch the video now. So this is the end of the discussion related to this topic. If you like all of these initiatives, please hit the like button. Provide your valuable comments in the section below. And if you yet to subscribe to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS, kindly do it now. Thank you. Have a great day.